Hi, everybody. I want you to meet a real Satanist. Not one of the sanitized varieties that some of you see on Christian YouTube sites. And I don't doubt the sincerity of some of those who say on Christian podcasts that they've come out of Satanism, but honestly, I often question how deeply involved those individuals were in the black arts. But not so with Michael Stewart. He's leader of a Kansas City area satanic cult called the Satanic Grotto. Is that scary enough for you? A grotto, a cave down underneath in the dark. Well, in this podcast, you're going to discover what a real Satanist believes of the cultural and political agenda that they espouse. So I want you to prepare yourself for a shock when I take out a fire-breathing Satanist who tried to perform a demonic black mass in the Kansas government Statehouse. Michael, what were you thinking? Were you just thinking publicity, headlines? They will now know who the Satanic Grotto is. I get more hits on YouTube or something. You can't go into the Kansas State House and perform a black mass to the devil.
Bob, I love all of this and I really want to engage that, but can I real quick, I just want to tell you how honored I am to be here. I have been exposed to you most of my life. I grew up in the Assemblies of God Church, and my youth pastor, as a matter of fact, followed you in the 80s and 90s so closely that you are yourself a direct influence on my Satanism.
Okay. Well, come on now. That's not fair, but we'll get it.
I wouldn't be where I am, so I want to thank you for that first off. And I appreciate and I'm honored to be here. I never thought I'd get to meet you.
Is that a backhanded compliment?
I mean, you can take it however you want. I mean it as a straightforward compliment.
Well, you did say in an email to us that being with me, you would consider a kind of rite of passage, since I've already interviewed many Satanists and taken them on from Boyd Rice to Peter Gilmore to Zena LaVey, etc. You know all of those people. You probably saw me talk to those people, right?
Yeah.
And you're thinking, when is my moment in the sun going to come? Yeah?
I think that your critical influence on Satanism is going to inspire the next generation of Satanists, my generation, which are going to take those names, Zena LaFay. Oh, I'm sorry, I cussed. I apologize right now, and I will watch that. But guys like Boyd Rice, who are obvious fascists, these guys are going to be nothing compared to this next generation of Satanists that you've inspired and the rebellion that we are going to implement into this world. It's truly phenomenal, and I'm truly excited about it.
That's pretty clever. I mean, that's an interesting comeback to sort of say, well, your attacks upon Satanists and trying to expose what they believe and teach it's more Satanism. Garbage. I spent all day long, every day of my life, casting out demons from people like you. And I'm happy to do it for you, but I don't think you're quite ready for it yet. So you were raised in the Assemblies of God by a Christian family?
Yeah, I will say when we were probably younger, my mother may have been more atheistic, but I was definitely hard-rooted into church by my late elementary school years, probably 6th grade, something like that. It was becoming a regular part of my life. We were one of those families that went to church every time the door was open, Wednesday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, regular.
Wait, you were saved, you were born again, right?
Several times.
What?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, that's spoken like a good Assembly of God Pentecostal to say several times. Baptists would never say that. But okay. So
that's what they say, right? In the Pentecostals, Jesus writes your name in the book of life in pencil so he can erase it.
All right, that's a great line. But this isn't about theology. This is about you and the devil. And I'm trying to find out, you come from this family of Christians, and you're out of a Pentecostal church, and you learned about me there and so on. But you are simply emphasizing what I've said over and over again, that most Satanists I have met, the real ones, the genuine ones, like you, are refugees from Christianity gone wrong, or for something that happened that embittered them against the church, and they confused the church with Jesus and the cross and salvation, and they couldn't make their way through it, so they took this leap in illogic, philosophical commitment to this archetypal image of something that allows you to indulge any evil you want to indulge in, right?
Well, I think that's a kind of a strange way to look at that angle. For me, it's more about addressing the hypocrisy of all of this, right? You yourself kind of like rail against the sins of the modern world, and you fight these demonic possessions. But to be intelligent and critical thinking, and to overcome that and make a path for myself away from your narrative, then makes me have lost some kind of critical way or understanding. I just don't think that that's true. I think it's a very hypocritical nature of the whole thing.
Well, are you telling me that I'm illogical and a non-critical thinker, and I'm really pretty stupid if I'm a Christian? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, sir, and I'll tell you what I'm trying to say, and I really say this without trying to be disrespectful, but I think that you're kind of a charlatan, and I think you're really good at it, and that you've been pulling it off for a very long time.
No, wait a minute. Well, hold it. Come on, that's not
this
fair.
Is the critical.
That's not fair. To say that I'm a charlatan imputes to me ill motive. It means that I'm disingenuous, that this is all an act. I don't really believe it. And I don't think you really believe that.
I think that it's about money, and I can point this out if you'd like.
So it always comes back to money. It always comes back to money, which is that the devil is the best friend the church ever had, and the church got rich by scaring people into becoming Christians with this image of a horned, fork-tailed bull. That's just old stuff. That's been recycled so many times. That doesn't hold water. Can I just get for a minute to the state?
That wasn't exactly what I was going to say.
I'll let you get back to it. I want to solve this problem of this.
And I'm sorry. I can wait for you to finish your thought. I don't mean to interrupt. That's
okay. Well, all right. A polite Satanist, which is an oxymoron, but please go ahead. All right. Okay. Let's talk about
Anton himself said that he preferred.
You what?
9 parts respectability, 1 part outrage.
Okay. Let's talk about the Kansas Statehouse. You got arrested because you assaulted police officers. Somebody tried to rip a document out of your hands, which I think was wrong. And then you assaulted them and you got in trouble, but you were wanting to perform a black mass, right?
Well, I think you asked a series of questions there. Which one should we start with?
Okay, were you
if you're asking about the actual attack, I believe.
Were you wanting to perform a black mass?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was going to try to perform a black mass there in the rotunda, at least a portion of it. When we do an actual black mass, there's a lot of pageantry. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So this was going to be more of a condensed and maybe slightly sanitized version of it. But that was the objective.
But you weren't going to have a nude on an altar with a chalice of human blood, right?
No, actually, we'd already discussed this with the Capitol Police long before this ever broke out. The man who is my liaison from the Capitol Police actually went home and was looking this stuff up on his own and about lost his mind. He called me and I was like, look, officer, no, that's not what we're going to do. What you're going to see that day is somebody tear up a Bible. You're going to see somebody break a cross. You're going to see somebody crumble a cracker and you're going to see somebody drink some grape juice.
Okay, wait. Break a cross. Take it, break it, okay? And crumble it. You're talking about allegedly having stolen the elements of communion from a Catholic church. Now, that's not true, right?
No, that whole thing was once again misinterpreted too. The whole suit brought against us about stealing somebody's communion wafer came at a joke I made online, and it was taken so far out of context that it was ridiculous, and that's why the suit was dropped. Where I said, sure, I have a consecrated wafer, right under that, I challenged their most powerful wizard to a duel. Taken in context, I was clearly trolling people. Was I lying? Could it be considered, yeah, sure, I'm a Satanist, I lie.
Well, you're a Satanist, you lie all the time. I don't know how we can believe anything that you say. You're a Satan worshiper.
Okay, well, that is a real easy caricature to paint of Satanism, and I know you know enough Satanism to know that that's not true. That you know that it is a nuanced belief that has several branches and several ways going through it.
Okay, I want to get to that. I want to
is
get to that. Which
that's a bait for me to answer.
Let's solve the political thing first, so we can move on from that. You have filed a hate.
I would love to. Yeah, where were we at?
You've filed a hate crime complaint against the Kansas State Highway Patrol, correct?
No, I'm sorry. That's what I filed the hate crime against was a man named Randy Blasey, and what he is the uncle of the Kansas Senate Majority Leader Chase Blasey. Chase Blasey conspired with our Senate President Ty Masterson to set all this up and cause as much mayhem during what was going to be a peaceful protest
so
as they possibly could to frame the devil.
You're going to play the victim role now. That's what we call this, right?
Bob, if you can hear me, I didn't catch that.
I said you're going to play the victim role now.
Oh, no. No, Satanists don't play victims.
Well, I beg to differ with you.
My rights.
So you have something coming up on August the 2nd. Is that still on the agenda?
It is. They tried to stop us, and it's funny. Both sides. Do you know how I know that we're doing a good job here at the Grotto? Conservatives, Democrats, both parties came out against us. And that's the kind of good trouble that makes me think, we're on to something here. But we did overcome all those trials, and we're back on.
You're back on. And according to the Rusi report that I said, you're going to protest a community event focused on religious pluralism and a charity drive to donate to pagan, occult, and LGBTQ affirming texts to the Statehouse's meditation room. That's really all you want to do?
Yes, sir.
That's it?
No, that's not the only thing. That is a positive part. We want our representatives and our senators and our governor to have access to all kinds of information and all kinds of point of views so they become a well-rounded individual. And that's really the only goal with the book club. Well, but we have other parts to this too. So.
Right. Okay. But you understand. I mean, Anton LaVey was not pro-gay. So he's probably rolling over in the cinders of hell right now, hearing you talk about being...
Do you think that's an entirely accurate statement? I think that Anton completely accepted gay culture because it was a form of indulgence and accepting the self. I don't remember any text that I've ever read from the man that condemned that.
But you never saw him pro-pride, right? You never saw that. So I think we can make some original.
I've never seen a unicorn either, Bob.
Okay. You've got this logo.
I'm sorry, and I should I address you as like Pastor Larson, Reverend Larson?
Well, it just depends how much dignity you want to accord me. You could call me Dr.
Whatever
Bob.
is favorable. I apologize. I
No,
just
that's
called you
okay.
Bob, and my Pentecostal upbringing would have had me spanked. So
All right. Just call me Bob. How's that? And I'll
appreciate
call
you,
you
Bob. Thank you very
Michael. All right? All right. Okay.
much. Which is funny. I get in a lot of trouble for that name right now. And I think it's funny because I didn't pick it. It was given to me, you know. So
Okay, let's define what kind of a Satanist you are, because this is one of the things I have a problem with Christians who talk about Satanism and even try to interview Satanists. They never ask them, what kind of a Satanist are you? I mean, what is your philosophical commitment? What is your belief system? Are you Anton LaVey? Are you archetypal? Are you classic? Are you polemic magic? What are you? So what kind of a Satanist are you?
I am what we're kind of coining a grotto Satanist. It's the name of our organization. It's the unique path that we are defining, like I said, not only for a future generation, but for people right here in Kansas, locally. And we are non-denominational. We take in people from all sorts, including some theistic Satanists, because we don't want to be trapped in an echo chamber of what Satanism is or isn't. We want it to grow organically and become far more than it was at its roots, which I think are incomplete, and can be improved and made far more effective.
But you kind of talk in circles there. Just give it to me point blank. You know the split that took place between Anton LaVey and Michael Aquino and Nicholas Schreck and all these people. One side says, no, the devil's real. He's a real being. The other side says, nah, he's just the symbol of our animal desires that we want the justification to pursue. All right? Which side are you on?
So personally, for myself, and only speaking me, not the organization, right? Not the Satanic Grotto as a whole, because there are many of us. For me personally, I probably am somewhere in between atheistic and a middle ground esoteric. You spoke earlier about thelemic magic. I have studied plenty of Aleister Crowley, but I do think that's got some flaws to it myself. I'm a left-hand path individual. I take those points and pillars of the left-hand path very seriously. And in fact, we just updated our website, and it defines more clearly the paths and structures that the grotto agrees to as a whole. I apologize for not providing those prior.
But that's all right. Okay, so after all these years, first person baptized into the Church of Satan with their nude on the altar, Zeta LaVey, now a Buddhist. There's hope. You could become a Christian again. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could become one again, or be revived again, or renew your commitment. It's possible.
You know, when I was in the Assemblies of God, they had a prophet show up one time, and he was pulling people down to the altar, and I remember standing there, and he's praying over me, and he looked at me and he said, I feel this in you, and the Lord is speaking to me to tell you this. He said, you will do one of two things with your life. He said, you will be a great man of God, and you will lead people to God and to Jesus. He said, or you're going to become a man of Satan, and you're going to do a whole lot of harm in this world. And I feel like that set a binary course for me. And when it came down to it, I chose the other one.
Yeah, I don't necessarily believe that was a legitimate prophecy. I mean, that's anybody could say you're going to pick.
Well, I don't either, but I do find it a defining point.
Yeah, well, but you know, you had a choice of one of two paths, but I'm still not understanding what the turning point was. Why you were going like this and you took the left-hand path. Something had to happen. What was it? What turned you from a Christian by confession, and we'll leave the theological issues out of it, mm-hmm. as to whether or not there's any hope of you still making it to heaven, mm-hmm. into the demon that you are now.
Once saved, always saved. It's the other one. The demon that I am now. I do like that moniker, but I guess you would attribute that to the spirits inhabiting me. Yes. I've taken on the name the Devil of Kansas, both as a professional moniker and as a symbol of
What
activism
changed?
that
You're not answering the question. What changed you? What was the turning point? What was it?
Oh, well, okay. Okay, and that assumes there was a one single thing, but you know as well as I do, the steps to evil are gradual and slow, and individual leading off the path, right? So it's not like I can tell you one day my pastor was mean to me and he broke my heart and that was it. No, it was years of seeing little things build up and build up until finally I was so distraught that I had to make a choice to figure out whether I could resolve the conflict that was inside of me or I had to walk away from it. And there was a conflict in my faith and belief in God.
Well, no, you could have turned to Zoroastrianism. You could have turned to Hinduism. You could have gone almost anywhere. But no, Pentecostal good boy had to be a devil worshiper. Had to be a Satanist, and you already said it. You're not just one of those archetypal Satanists. You're possibly considering the real deal, that he actually exists and empowers you. Now that's a bridge too far. Let's admit it.
Bob, I will say that if there's a turning point that specifically drove out Satanism, it was you. You were my well, not you. Let me rephrase that, because that is unfair.
Okay.
Your influence on my pastor. He would stand at the altar every Halloween holding up a satanic Bible, and it was that prop for him was so powerful for me. The draw. I mean, I'll tell you, Laramie Crumpley was my pastor. He ended up becoming a senior pastor of that church before he was kicked out for exposing himself to some woman years later. Now, I had left the church long before.
Oh, I know.
But
okay, well, right there.
Goes to show.
If you submitted yourself to me as a candidate for an exorcism, I would zero in on that right away. So there was somebody with a false anointing, living a duplicitous life, practicing evil, living in hypocrisy, and bringing a curse on you because you were under his spiritual covering. Now, I'm sure there are other factors, but now this starts to make sense to me. Yeah. So you just went a little further than most people would go.
I think the steps are fairly clear. It went Bob Larson, Laramie Crumpley, Michael Stewart. And there was, I mean, if you want to attribute it all to one man, I think that takes the responsibility off me. I made my choices. I could have found a new pastor, but I didn't. That's not what I recognized.
Yeah,
I changed my
but listen,
entire
Michael,
outlook
that was a factor. I mean, there are obviously other factors as well. But that man cursed you. You were under his authority, and he cursed you. And in a way, that prophet, who might have meant well by giving him this binary decision, put you in a very difficult place he had no business putting you into. So I think there's a lot of fault at the church here for giving you an incomplete theological view of the nature of God and God's love for you.
Well, I think I have to protest that too. Now, let me give you a little more clarity here. I did go to a Christian high school for my high school career, except for my senior year, which was a troublesome year for me. I learned very deep theology from all these people. I believed in God with my whole heart and with the salvation of Jesus. I was actually going to go to Rhema Bible College in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Are you familiar with them?
Oh, I'm very familiar with them. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to go there because now I know the school of thought that you were part of.
Yes, sir. I have always been a curious young man about religion. It fascinates me. I love religion. Like you said, I've studied more than just Satanism and Christianity. I want to know the scope of what is out there so that when I do define a theological doctrine for this new Satanism, that it is prepared to test the time and last until the next great Satanist comes along and redefines it for their generation.
I want to make something clear. I'm not knocking Rhema and some wonderful people who have come out of there, but I'm seeing a theological consistency. I'm seeing an empirically based sense of reality, and I'm not seeing an objectively defined faith that had strong theological underpinnings. That's what I'm seeing here. So it didn't take much.
It's hard to judge that from me 20 years ago, right? Or more than 20 years ago now. I would not say that I would understand Bob Larson of 2000 and his underpinnings, other than I might be able to actually see you on TV or, some video somewhere because you've just been exposed that long. But my point standing, that it's hard to say that you can judge what my faith was at that time, because I believe that it was so strong that when I left the church, the breaking of my heart and the deconstruction of that was severe and long and took many, many years for me to correct for myself. I believed, sir. And now I no longer do.
But you didn't have to go. You could have gone to Locke, to Hume, to Hegel. You could have gone to Nietzsche. You could have gone somewhere. You didn't have to go all the way to the devil. Right?
I will tell you, the first time I read the Satanic Bible, I read the words of Anton Llewellyn, half inherited, and then some sprinkled spooky dust on it. I can be rational about my religion. I can study my religion and understand that it has flaws and misconceptions even from the beginning and strive to improve it. But the first time I read that foundational text, it gave me the lexicon to explain a feeling that I did not know how to express, that always existed there. And that's why. It is because it was such a clear bell ring at the time that it led me on pursuits that even outgrew it and grew organically to become bigger and to become a community organizer and to get other people dedicated to spreading this.
Okay, but given that possibility that you describe, says to me, as an exorcist, that you had a predisposition from a spiritual standpoint before you ever got involved in the Assemblies of God Church, before that rogue pastor ever walked into your life, before you heard about me or anything that was tracking you and just looking to move the chess pieces in the right place to tip you over the edge. That's the way I see it. And I see you as a victim of all of that. Perhaps something going way back in your ancestry. Let me jump on. What's the tattoo on your head?
Oh, yes, sir. Let me see if you can get a good view of that. Do you see it at all?
Yeah. What is it?
It is three sunflowers representing Kansas, because I'm a Kansas City boy. I actually was born on the Missouri side, but I chased a pretty girl over to the Kansas side.
All right. Well, we were really expecting a much more evil tattoo than that.
Well, it is a little more. I will give a little further. If you notice, they're in three phases. There's one that is starting to bud, one in full bloom, and one that is dying, representing memento mori and remembering this life now. And then, I don't know if you can tell, in the center of the biggest one is a pentagram. And it's a pentagram because that's one of our symbols that we've adopted in our group. I don't know if you see this.
Oh, yes. The sunflower in the pentagram. All right.
Yes, sir.
You are a LaVey Satanist, sort of, by your own admission. All right. So
LaVey had influence, for sure.
Okay, so you were inspired by the Satanic Bible. So let's just walk through. I may not have time for all 9 satanic statements of Anton LaVey published, but you clearly had to read them. So let's just walk through them here. Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. Number 1. Indulgence.
Love it.
You'd have done great.
Yeah,
you would have done great at a P. Diddy freakout.
Well, look, just because you indulge in chocolate doesn't mean you're going to indulge in pedophilia, right? I think those are unfair evaluations. Now, if you ask me, can I put a few drinks back? Do I
do what feels good. Pursue your lusts. That's Satanism. That's Anton
because
Satanism.
He also followed it up with that compulsion is not indulgence. Compulsion is a loss of your self-will, and that in itself is a tragedy. You never want to lose yourself, even when you're indulgent.
Which, of course, is still the antithesis of what Christianity teaches. We're not to give way to the sins of the flesh and the desires of the fallen nature that is in sin.
Or is it the fact that if you can convince somebody that having fun is a sin, you can hold that over them and charge rent to come back to you? And that's what it keeps boiling it back to, right? Is that this is a system.
We're going to get into a definition of sin here. I don't know. And by the way, let me just explain to the audience here. We've had some technical difficulties, and we're talking over each other once in a while. And as I'm watching you, I see your lips move before I hear the words. So I have to be anticipatory here. But we're trying to make our way through this. All right. So I've got the list of the 9 satanic statements here. Satan represents responsibility to the responsibility instead of concern for psychic vampires. What a self-defined, selfish sense of morality. You arrogantly, like Lucifer, you get to sit back and decide who is responsible and who's not responsible.
Oh, I don't think that's a clear statement of what that means.
Well, I think that's what it means.
That when you're organizing a structure, well, if I may, my interpretation of that is when you're organizing any structure, you put priority and authority to those people who take responsibility, to those people who choose to stand up and lead and take the shot right in front of a news camera every once in a while when it's called for.
Now you sound like you're campaigning for a position on Trump's staff. Okay, let's move on.
You know what I found out here recently? We're a 501c4, which means we actually have entitlement to political statuses and creating a political platform. In the future, you very well may see grotto-inspired legislation filed at the Kansas Statehouse, and I am so excited about this.
Not holding my breath. Satan represents vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams. Number 2 on Anton LaVey's list. But the fact is,
doesn't that kind of already get covered?
The fact is that when you're dead, you're dead. That's not a pipe dream. When you're dead, you're dead. And if you are a Satanist, that's the end of it.
That's it.
That's it. There's nothing more.
Live it now.
What a great motive to be selfless and kind and love, and to turn the other cheek. You're dead, you're dead. I might as well just get what I want now and enjoy it while I can. That's you.
There is some of that. No, I wouldn't say that totally. What I think that really remembering this death does is inspire me to create my own meaning, my own motivation. And it doesn't necessarily have to be malicious. I have all kinds. I go to poetry night. You know, I never knew before I started the grotto and started breaking my bounds here that I was a poetry guy. In fact, I probably would have laughed at someone 10 years ago if they had told me that. But I indulge and I exist and I experience things now. I say yes. Even if I don't know that I'll like them, just for the experience. And if I don't, I walk away. It is a operation of consent. It is an
This is really,
there are no external.
Wow, you are really living in La La Land. Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. Number 5 on the list. You believe that? Satan represents vengeance, not turning the other cheek, correct?
Well, I think I proved that at the state capitol.
I think you did too. You got arrested for it. But the point is, that's the pride and arrogance of Lucifer that cost him his place in heaven. Okay? This was his original
I'm sorry, you
sin.
cut out there. Will you repeat that?
Yeah. That's the pride and the arrogance that cost Lucifer his place in heaven. All right? Because he was determining who would be God. He was determining who sets the rules. And nothing has changed. What you're saying is, I have the right to determine if somebody does something to me that I don't like, I have the right to seek vengeance. Well,
you know, on my Patreon, I just wrote about our doctrine of violence, and I don't actually, that's not how I believe. And I outlined what I believe the clear directives for the use of violence and when it's justified and when it's not.
But you're the justifier. You're the justifier. No. You're the individual arbiter of your own actions, and you determine whether or not it's justified. There's no externalized codes of conduct. There's no 10 commandments. There's no laws written on the human heart. It is you as a Satanist deciding, I'm going to smack that guy. He may be a state trooper, but I'm going to slug him. You did it.
Oh, no. And the state trooper wasn't the one that I got in the conflict with. That was Marcus Schroeder, and he's actually a terrorist from Minnesota who drove all the way down just to cause trouble. In fact, he had called in bomb threats prior on LGBTQ pride stuff. So when we talk about this man attacking me, yes, I used Kansas Stand Your Ground defense laws, and What did he do? What did he do to attack you?
What did he do?
Well, he committed assault and battery. What it is in the state of Kansas, if you unlawfully snatch, grab, and try to remove something from someone else's possession, it is considered an attack on your body.
And what did you do? What did you do to him?
The first time I back away, nothing. I was in the state capital of my state practicing my religion. He drove from out of state to stop me. This was an outsider thinking that he could intervene in Kansas business.
I'm not talking about civil law. I'm talking about moral and spiritual law. You did assault him. Right?
Well, yeah. No, I did not assault him. I defended myself. Once again, there's a difference.
Okay.
The terminology is important.
Okay.
It's the difference between murder and combat, you know?
All right. Satan represents, number 8, all of the so-called sins as they lead to physical, mental, and emotional gratification. Satan represents all sins. Go do it. Indulge it.
I always found that one weird, honestly. I didn't necessarily agree with that statement from the Church of Satan. I think it's weird that they say that it's the gratification of sin, but yet then they denounce sin as a thing altogether. What I prefer to think of when it comes to that there is no sin. Sin is not a thing. That's an imposed structure we have come up with. What I believe is there are failures of the self.
So incest and pedophilia are not sins.
Those are consent violations, and I do think those are horrible.
Well, now wait a minute. There are arguments on the other side that follow their logic about why it's not a sin. Sadomasochism? How about that? Are you for that? Is that okay? Oh, if they're consenting.
Is it between consenting adults?
Oh.
See, I'm not into it. Look, I grew up with some abuse in my life, and to me, that stuff seems strange because when I want to be intimate, the last thing I want to do is get hit. That doesn't make sense to me either. But I'm also not judging. If two adults decide they want to trauma bond over whipping each other, go for it.
But what if that consenting adult grew up with sexual abuse, and as a result, they have lost their sense of humanity and individuated dignity, and they put themselves in positions of being abused over again because of the traumatization. But to you, they're consenting, go do it. You're not interested in the nuances. You just want the headlines that grab people's attention.
Why would I interfere with somebody else's choices like that? Those people need to deconstruct their own trauma.
Well, no, wait a minute. Maybe it's entirely their choice.
They do that.
You know, that's what the P. Diddy trial was all about. Yeah, choice, right. Well, how much choice was there when people are drugged to do things?
That was consent violation.
you have an answer for everything, but the moral structure
It's generally consent.
is lacking. So you said you were abused. Who did what to you?
Oh, well, that's look, I came from a poor family in South Kansas City, which was a troubled neighborhood in the 80s and 90s when I was a young man and a teenager. It's just life. The difference is I don't focus on those as focal turning points in my life. I take responsibility. Maybe I was dealt a bad hand. Maybe I had a stepdad beat me. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I lived in a rough neighborhood where they picked on guys like me. Maybe I didn't. It doesn't matter. The point is, whatever trauma you've experienced, whatever trouble in your life, it's up to you to solve that coagula, break it down, analyze it, and rebuild better. And when we start doing that, we start becoming that far better, more dangerous person, like I said.
You're attributing to some kind of individual power to overcome. I spend my life helping the outcast, the downcast, the abused, and the broken. I talk to them all day long, every day. And some of those people need good therapy and they need good counseling, but they're not able in most cases to pull themselves up by their bootstraps until we get demons out of them. And then the evil introject has been corrupting.
$400 a pop to get it.
Getting the demons out of them then unleashes the possibility of Christ's power to come through them and for them to really get free and overcome. But that whole dimension to you is just X'd out. Doesn't exist. Power of the mind.
I would give it more credence if, when I took your demonic possession test, you didn't tell me to buy 6 books and schedule a $400 appointment to be exorcised.
Wait a minute.
I overcame that by punching someone at the Capitol, and I could ask you right now for free. And I wonder, I'm sorry, Bob, let me fit one more thing. I wonder what Jesus charged to cast out demons.
Well, now, hold on for a minute. Glad you brought that up. Number one, if people want to go take the demon test, it's free. And that test, demontest.com, allows people to have a sense of the probability, all right, of whether or not they have any demons. But my ability to speak with you right now involves an office facility. It involves a lot of expensive equipment. It involves a staff. It involves an infrastructure to be able to be in the position to provide help, which isn't just provided by me, but by associate ministers and by people who offer complementary help in our teams all over the world. So there's a bigger picture than you try to zinger me by saying that my time has to be carefully looked after and taken care of, so I'm able in the bigger picture to reach out and help people. That's really an ad hominem argument that doesn't fly, because you're the one who's got the moral. You're the one who's got the moral deficit here.
Everything you had and give it to the poor. I mean, that seems kind of antithetical. Jesus didn't say. He said, "Sell everything you have, give it to the poor." Trust in me, because I even know.
Hang on.
Sparrow from the sky. Hang on. Right? He has your. If you just trust him, you wouldn't have to charge as much.
Wait a minute. I've been trusting the Lord for 50 years of ministry in more ways than you know, and have gone through more times of giving freely to thousands of people and stretching myself and even invested in them financially as well as emotionally and spiritually. You are the last person in the world to stand in judgment of me, in all due respects. You're a Satanist who turns your back on God.
I don't judge folks. I apologize.
Well, but you have judged.
I'm not trying to judge. I'm just trying to present a angle that I view it from. It is not a judgment, because I don't believe that's my place.
It's a standard default position. It's an ad hominem position, and it just doesn't fly. The real issue here is
Well,
I'm
I hope
choosing.
you're right, and I hope that one day in my nonprofit organization that I will be able to make maybe a salary like Bob Larson does. Because right now I work full time. I quit my old job to become a Satanist and an activist full time and lead these without pay.
Well,
And
I've
it's
done
funny,
that
I
too.
don't even
I've
have
done
God
that
on
too
the line.
thousands of times. Okay,
Yeah.
but the point
Well,
is,
that's what I'm saying. I hope one day to accomplish your level. Then it seems like we're kind of walking the same path on
no.
different hands, right?
How dare you say that? that's
Oh, I am a fan. Like I said, you brought me here.
no, no,
I
what I want, one of the things I want to achieve today, as I said right at the beginning, is that people understand what a real Satanist is. A real Satanist. You. Yes, flashes the evil eye. Yes. What you really believe. And
Sir,
you're telling
I
us
am
what
the
you
realist
really
Satanist.
believe. Because there are people out there, I think, in the Christian community who are being confused by people who get into the occult, and that's Satanism. But that is not Satanism, that is the occult, right? So that's a whole different path, the New Age, etc. But they call it Satanism.
There's overlap, yes, but one's more of a philosophy, one's more of a practice too. But there are overlap, correct? There are Satanists who dabble in the occult and
Yes.
combine it, and that's one of the things hell we're working on right here in Kansas. We're going to release a whole new system of demonic, satanic, and we're going to publish it so cheap. We're going to use Anton LaVey's exact tactic of making sure the Satanic Bible spread by making it cheap, just the same way, and we're going to leak it to the world.
Back to why you're even doing this, why this conversation is even taking place. At one time, you made a verbal and emotional commitment to Christ. Were you coerced into that, or did you truly mean it? Do you know?
The second part of that broke up on me.
Okay,
And I apologize.
so I said
heard you
there
asking
was
about,
one
the first part.
time in your life in which you made a personal faith commitment to Jesus Christ. So my question is, were you coerced into it? Were you pushed into it? Was there social pressure, family pressure, or something that had you do that? Or did you mean it at the time?
Oh, I think it was. Oh, I definitely meant it at the time, but that doesn't mean I wasn't coerced or I wasn't naive. I think those things can all exist simultaneously.
And how old were you when you did that?
Like I said, so sixth grade, what does that make you, like 12-ish starting? So I probably spent that up to teens, 18. 18 for sure is when I got the Satanic Bible. That I do know.
So when did you make the choice for the left-hand path?
You know, I read the Bible and it resonated, but I don't think I actually implemented it into my life until I found the Satanic Temple. And strangely, what I learned by being a chapter head and an organizer for the Satanic Temple was to critically analyze all that I'm seeing. And that's when I really chose the left-hand path. When I got to the point where I could even deconstruct Satanism and start looking at it objectively, then my life really started changing. And ever since we left the Satanic Temple, we became an independent organization, and I really started investing in these ideas and these practices. My life has gotten so weird and so fun and so tiring.
Well,
the no rest for the wicked, right?
you know you have demons. I know you have demons. You have.
I am.
You would not be where you are saying what you say if you didn't have demons. But as I said earlier, I don't think you got them from reading the Satanic Bible. I think they were already there in the background, looking very opportunistically to strike. And then a series of things happen, enough delusionment, disillusionment set in, the whole system began to crumble, and you bought it. And the minute you took the bait, then this plan that had been going on for a very long time smacked you. And since then, you become a zealot for it. But you're not seeing the pattern here that took place.
No, I actually am. Yeah, you actually just pointed out something that kind of blew my mind a little bit. You've attributed that pattern to a higher demonic force or whatever, but you know what that pattern actually is? I don't know, and please forgive me. Are you familiar with Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals, any of these workings?
Yes, but I don't read. I don't spend my time
what you just outlined.
reading literature that's designed to overthrow the United States of America.
Well, you should. It would define these points. What you just listed out is Saul Alinsky 101, and it is something that I practice regularly in my activism. This isn't some grand cosmic plan. This is recognizing opportunity and capitalizing. And yes, I do make those moral judgments. Our group decides and makes those moral judgments. Now, before you think I'm some black pope lording over Kansas, we're an elective body. I go up for election in October because I want this group and what I have accomplished so far to outlast me and run the time and beat any other model of Satanism that has been presented. We are going to root in and take over. They will be decentralized cells across the United States that all network and all coordinate. And it's going to be a wonderful, beautiful thing.
I hope the Christians who are listening to me heard carefully what you just outlined. You outlined a progressive political takeover. You outlined a demonic spiritual takeover. And God help us if you're in a position of legal governmental authority. But the Bible says it will happen.
No one's voting for this. I think you can rest.
It will happen eventually, okay? It will. Don't expect to be sitting at the right hand of the Antichrist because, you're not bad enough to do that. But
come on, don't discredit me like you're going to break my... I've been waiting for this interview my entire life. Please don't do me like that, Bob. At least...
You just described the end times. You just described the tribulation period. You just described it, and you laid out the agenda.
Well too in school.
Pardon?
It's a synthesis, right? You take your whole life, you learn this, you learn that, you synthesize it into a plan, you try to enact it. And that's the best. What I love that I've seen a lot lately is pastors, priests, many different older men who I would think of as an authority figure, like a father figure, like kind of archetype, right? Do two things. One, they go, what is happening in Kansas? And you know what's happening? The grotto. And the second thing they do is they focus on me, not realizing that we have multiple members over multiple cities. But then they focus on me and they go, what happened to this guy? And I'm like, it's so easy. All you have to do is ask me. And you were the first one to really reach out and ask me. And because I think, like I said, we're tied. I wouldn't be on this path without you. We need each other in this. And I'm just so thankful that I got to do this. So,
well, I'm grateful that you joined me today. I'm not going to take a backhanded compliment like that because I know what's ultimately behind it. But I'm glad we could be reasonably good-natured about this to find out what's inside your head and what you believe.
Sir. I appreciate that, too. I was really worried it wouldn't go that way.
Oh, Jesus said your own words condemn you. So if people listen to what you said and take quite literally what your philosophical system leads to, I think they can see, been there, done that before. The Bible says it's happened over and over again, but one time at the end, it'll be the last time it happens. And just in case there's a pre-tribulational rapture, And just in case it's possible through martyrdom to make it into the kingdom while you're hanging around with your Satanists, you might want to think about that, even if it costs you your life.
I appreciate that, Pastor Larson. I really do. And I've been to plenty of tribulation Christmas plays. I know what's coming if that's coming. I'm going to roll the dice. I tell you that.
All right. Well, you have rolled it. But you are talking to somebody who deals with real demons, and they tell me their agenda, and they explain it to me both in an individuated way, as far as the person they possess, as well as the larger scheme of things. And you obviously have a very brilliant mind, a quick wit, and a personality, and very dangerous. Just imagine, if you were to fall on your knees again and say, Jesus, wow, what was I thinking? I didn't have to make a binary decision.
I would say imagine.
I'm going to make the decision now to follow you. Imagine what would happen. Wow, that would be incredible.
I think I would be more entertained by teaching people to do what I do. And that's it. Like I said, I don't want to be a black pope. I want to set people on fire and then release them into the ethos to do their own will. And I think that's so powerful and it's unstoppable. So,
well, okay, just be careful you aren't the one that ends up being set on fire, you know where. Okay?
Well, you know, we all have to risk something.
I know, before I go in a moment, there must be people think, well, isn't Bob going to challenge his demons? No. You like them. You've made friends with them. So there's nothing I can do at this point that's going to make them leave you magically until you are oppositional, but has taken over your mind. But I do give credence to the fact that there's some things back there that distorted Christianity for you, and I can understand why you took a different direction. I just wish you wouldn't go any further than you've already gone. If I can ever be of help privately, no one will ever know it, call me. Fair enough?
I appreciate that. Thank you, Pastor.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us.
Your financial support and prayers make it possible for us to bring hope for the hurting and freedom to those in spiritual bondage. For the latest information regarding ministry outreaches, go to boblarson.org or call 303-980-1511.